Module 5, Understanding My Community. The community I am teaching in is Plainville. We are the Plainville Cardinals, which is why I have a picture of a cardinal on the screen. I'm actually very new to the community. This is my first year teaching, and I live in Hayes, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I had to do quite a bit of checking around and some personal interviews to find answers to these questions, but I learned a ton about the community going through this. So their customs and traditions. Plainville has several traditions that they do every year. They have a Paradise Creek Festival, which they do in the fall. They do Home for the Holidays. The library puts this on, and Santa Claus comes. I actually got to experience this year, just recently for Christmas. They do ornaments. They decorate them. They do all sorts of things for Home for the Holidays. It's a really big hit with the community. They do a turkey trot on Thanksgiving, which is a little less than a 5K, but they go out to the lake and they run around it. And then there's a fall fest every year, and I actually was part of that this year too. And the fall fest is just the rec center puts it on, and they have like contests for the best costume, the best pumpkin carving. It's really cool. Most of the community attends all the local events. It's a small community, and almost everyone attends almost every event. It's a blue-collar community. Most people are predominantly employed by either the school, the oil field, or the hospital. There's a couple other just like gas stations. There's a veterinary clinic. There's a car dealership, but some of those are locally owned. So people that are coming, like moving to the community and things like that, are employed by either the school, oil field, or hospital. Um, there's very little diversity, close to none. We're actually 98% white, and there's very little change, but when it comes, it's handled well. The most recent change was a rec center was built. They had to pass a pretty big bond issue for it, but the town and the school really needed it, and they've benefited from it. I believe it was built 5 years ago. It's been a very good thing for the community. The population characteristics. It's a blue-collar town, like I mentioned. A lot of farmers. They're educated, but not to a high standard or level. So those that have a high school or higher education is 89.6%. But then it really, really falls off because a bachelor's degree or higher is just 16.7%. And then a graduate's or professional degree is just 6.7. The average age is 47. Families, and that's due to families that move away and then come back. So usually, like after high school, kids will go away and see what's out there, and then realize they want to come back. So they'll have had families or whatever and bring them back. It's 46% male and 54% female. The citydata.com is where I got my information from for that. Like I mentioned, most residents are employed through the oil fields. There used to be a mobile home park that employed a lot of people, but they shut it down, and that really, really hurt the community. I think that happened around 5 or 7 years, 5 to 7 years ago. Uh, it it hurt when they closed. There are very few issues with race or social creeds because everybody is predominantly the same, white middle class citizens. The different communication channels. Plainville does an excellent job of communicating throughout the community. They have a local newspaper. It's sent out weekly. They have a community TV channel and a school TV channel that they do through Next Tech. There's a school web page, a community web page, and a Rooks County Hospital web page. Those are updated daily with different events going on. And even with all of these sources, most people just get their information from word of mouth because it's kind of one of those small town deals. If one person knows it, the whole town knows. But there are a lot of communication logs. And then the school also has an all school call. And so if there's like an emergency or whatever, they can call out all the parents, all the kids through texts, phone calls, and emails. The community groups, there's several different groups. The biggest ones are by far the church groups. Uh, it's predominantly Methodist with a couple of Catholic groups thrown in there. They do a lot of stuff, and it's still to the point where like Wednesday nights, nothing is allowed to happen besides church. So like for sports practices, we have to be done by 6:30. They don't schedule any school events, no community events. Um, Wednesdays and Sundays are strictly churches. So a lot of kids are involved in that. The community members are involved in that. We also have a Lions Club, a Booster Club, and then a Plainville Community Foundation. And those three have the most influence inside of the school, besides, of course, the school board. But the Plainville Community Foundation does a lot of stuff to better the community. They recently donated some playground equipment to the school. They do things like that. There are several small women's sorority groups. They're informal groups that just get together and chat. They have a couple chat and chew groups. The local saloon does a lot of weekly nights where you can come discuss different things. It's pretty interesting. The groups do a very good job of working together to help better the community. There's not really any arguing amongst the groups, or it's very, they work together to help do better. They don't ever try and separate each other. The different leadership. There's two major leaders in Plainville, and the first one is the mayor, and the second one is who everyone calls the financer. I'll leave his name out of it, but those two definitely have the most influence on everything. The financer owns most of the town, and he's trying really hard to revitalize it. There's a hotel in town that they're redoing. He has the support of the community in everything he does because he's just strictly trying to improve everything. The mayor is a good leader because of her position as mayor, so she's not someone that probably would have just been a leader if she wasn't the mayor. But as a mayor, she does an excellent job in the leadership role. I have never heard a bad thing about her. And then the financer is a leader because he has the money to do it. But there's a couple of other people in Plainville that have money like the financer does, but they don't use it to help build the community up. So it's very, very cool to see how he's working in the community. Other people in power positions, we have 5 council members, we have the superintendent and the high school principal, we have the school board, and we have members of the booster club. Those are all people that the town looks to for leadership, but probably not with quite as much power as the mayor or the financer. The community leaders characteristic. Both of our 2 major ones are extremely well liked. I have never heard a bad thing about either of them. They attend all of the local events. The mayor sponsors a lot of the local events, and it's very cool. Everybody knows everybody, so it's very easy to talk to the mayor or the financer. I actually recently had the mayor come into my classroom and talk to my kids about her role in the community, which was really, really awesome, just how she interacts with the school. The financer has links all over. He can reach out to towns surrounding us. He actually has a major share in Gellas here in Hayes and does a lot of other things with the Hayes district and things like that. So it's nice that both of them know people outside of the community. Leaders, the mayor and all of the others, the school boards, people like that, they might take independent action on their own, but their actions are almost always positive ones that are meant to improve the town. Economic conditions, not so good in Plainville, kind of like all around. The oil field is not doing good, which is really hurting the Plainville School District and the community. The average household income is about $36,750. The lack of jobs has reduced to lack of enrollment numbers, which has reduced our state funding, and it has not been easy. I think they have 30 less kids this year than last year, and a district of only 200 kids, 30 less really hurts. There's a 4.8% of unemployment rate, and a sales tax of 9%, and then property taxes are 1.6%. And I got that information from the saletax.com. The political structure. There is definitely not any separation between politics and education, which for some towns I see how that could be detrimental, but for our town it's extremely good because we need the help of the politics and things like that to help keep the school running. The school would not stay active and running without the political side of it. Plainville is mostly funded by the state, but we also get donations from people in the community. Funding for the school was cut drastically 2 years ago because our numbers were down so far. And then at the beginning of this year, we were declared in a state of emergency. So we had to go ask Governor Brownback for emergency funds. And I think out of 15 school districts, 5 qualified, and we were one of the lucky 5. I don't know if you consider it lucky, but we were. And so we got a little bit of extra funding through that. But like I said, the school will not survive without the political entities. Social tensions. Very lucky in the fact that there aren't very many social tensions in Plainville. There is a bit of a drug problem, but it's not in the schools at all. It used to be a lot worse, but now it seems to be more in the generation above the kids now. So the ones that are in school now have gone through a DARE program. They have speakers come in and talk to them about drugs and alcohol abuse, And really, in our high school, there's not an issue at all. We don't have a teen pregnancy issue. We don't have a gang issue. We're very lucky to have kids that have been able to grow up in programs that have taught them things like that. There's no noticeable cliques within the community. Not a lot of separation. Extra sources of information. There are a lot of places to look for the information in Plainville. Any of the websites I mentioned earlier, the Rooks County Hospital one, the community one, or the school one. We also have a local library that gives out information. And honestly, where I would go to find information is the saloon, because everyone in there knows everything. So anyone that wants to learn about anything could go to the saloon or the local gas station. We also have a city office that passes out brochures on different parts of the city, and then we have a VFW that helps get out information. Power structures. Most of the power inside of the school comes from the school board, and there's not a lot of resistance. No turnover with school board leadership ever. I think the same members have been the same for probably the last 15 years. When there's a tough decision, the school board will work together with the city to make the calls. So like recently, this picture I have up here is of the new park they just built. They had the opportunity to pass a bond for a water park and city park, and the school board somehow was involved in that. I'm not extremely sure how or why, but the school board and the city worked together to write bonds and pass the grants to help get funding to build this, and it has been a huge asset to the community. Next slide is, I think I missed one, sorry. The multicultural issues. Being 98% white, we have very few multicultural issues. So I looked at this one as a view from the small town setting, which is kind of our biggest issue. But the administration in the school know that they both come from small towns and small schools, so they do a very good job of knowing what it takes to help keep a small school and a small town running. A blue collar attitude is accepted and taught throughout the district, meaning we teach our kids that you don't get anywhere by not working hard. And it's taught at home, it's taught throughout the community, it's taught in the schools, which I think is one thing that has really helped our community to grow. Back to knowing the power structure, like I mentioned, the school board has the most power inside of the school, and there's definitely a pecking order. I read the article posted with this link about the pecking order, and it was ridiculous how well it fit with the Plainville. So how it works in Plainville is everything is decided by the school board / city council. Then there's a trickle-down effect, so the principals are informed, then the teachers let the parents know, and then the teachers and the parents work together to let the kids know. If an issue arises at a lower level, so with a student or a teacher or a parent, then that person takes it to the principal, who takes it to the superintendent, who takes it to the school board, and then the issue gets talked about. Very rarely would I ever just go to the school board. So you have to run it through the different pecking orders. I would say that the school board definitely has a monopoly of power, but it has not been a bad thing yet. Mostly because the town members hold the members of the school board extremely accountable, and the school board knows that. Public opinion. Most people that are in the district town love it. Many people will leave to see what else is out there and then realize what they have is really good, so they come back. The only negative thing I've ever really heard about the town is the drug problem, and even that is something that I think is being phased out as the people that have the problem are leaving the town or things like that. So public opinion of the town, depending on who you talk to, but probably 90% of the people, it's a very positive opinion. Public opinion surveys. Every year the students do surveys about bullying and drug and alcohol abuse. I'm not sure what the results of those are. I'll have to check on them. Public opinion surveys aren't given because usually the whole town already knows your opinion. So, if there's a negative opinion, the school board, the city council, the mayor, all those people work together to change that opinion because they know what they are. It's such a small town, people know what the negative opinions are. And then every year teachers fill out annual surveys to tell how we would think we could improve the school system. Anyways, I believe that is my last slide. If you have any questions about any of my information, feel free to ask me. Thanks.